So we stand in front of Dollar Tree and basically
such as this thing here.
all right, I'm excited to have a guest.
A piece of metal right here, of course, everyone is. Cuba is like they're under a dictator.
RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Monday edition of the People's Talk Show. Looking forward to connecting. It's been a minute, but here we are, and lots of things worth touching on. And I'm curious to find out what you guys been keeping an eye on. And there's more subjects than one person can cover, but I would definitely love to find out what's of importance to you. So feel free to chime in via the chat. Let me know what's on your radar. And if you are plugging in for the first time, perhaps make sure you hit that thumbs up button and hit the bell notification. Hopefully you're notified, but no guarantees there. But anyway, hope everyone is doing well. May not be long tonight. Just want to check in for a quick minute and, just unplug for a while, take some time off. Nothing new out there, just more of the same, more death, debt, destruction. Not much really worth taking the time to really dive deeper into, just because for the most part, a lot of people are out there, sharing their 2 cents on things. So rather wait for something worth talking about. But I wanted to connect with my people. It's been a minute, and I hope everyone's doing well. So first off, let me know who's tuning in. Let me know where you're watching from, if we got any new visitors as well. And feel free to throw out some thoughts, ideas, suggestions in the chat. We definitely love to hear what's going on your radar. And we'll see where we go tonight with this one. But I had to unplug a little bit on my side just to unwind. The talk show, it's fun to be able to connect with like-minded individuals, but after a while, it's good to unwind and just do a little bit of nothing as far as news, watching. Had a chance to have a little getaway. And so when you're laying poolside, listen to the waves crash on the ocean, not really too interested in the events happening in the world. So it's grateful to have a little time off, but I'm back behind the mic, looking forward to talking. All right, so I don't want to rant forever. I grabbed a couple things that caught my attention, and it has to do with the monetary transition that's underway, despite all the noise from the central banks, the debt ceiling, and we got war. All types of stuff going on. But bit by bit, the world is moving away from a single currency to transaction with globally. And it's just interesting how, more articles from the Western Hemisphere, especially, but then again, those from the East as well, they're talking about payment systems and how they're trying to come up with new payment systems and doing more currency swaps and things like that. Just puts more pressure on the West to try to defend the weaponized Federal Reserve note that has destroyed the world for the most part. But got a couple headlines. I'll rush through those real quick and then open up the phone lines. Would definitely love to find out what else is going on. So let me stop ranting. For those who are plugged in, definitely make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Hopefully that helps the channel, whatever. Algorithms are just completely killing me, So fighting an uphill battle, it feels like, but we'll keep it moving. All right, so let me acknowledge a couple people. We got Ed checking in. Appreciate you. We got Ryan, Denzi, Rich Mountains. Appreciate you, man. We got, what else we got? Let me see, Dr. Mota. We got Rick. Says, in the Fed. In the Fed from Nebraska. How you doing? We got X. Stock up on food and water. The power outage in Pakistan should be a big wake-up call. We've been having, power issues in various countries throughout the world over the last several months. So every country should be on the lookout for something of that magnitude, even here in the U.S., with all the concerns of our power grid and things like that. And so it doesn't surprise me one bit. Dirty Scant says, rest in peace, Diamond. Yeah, that's unfortunate as well. It just baffles me how people, participated. But then again, everybody's at a different level. What else we got here? Will Smith checking in, which says, question, thoughts on the egg shortage. How do they think will lose their lives over food? The egg shortage, that's something I'll check into, other than just hearing about prices of eggs in certain parts being higher than others. Haven't really dived too much into it. Keenan, what's up, my friend? We got how the Sam Hair premiums tanking as the comics is draining. Yeah, it just, trickery, man, trickery, deception, as well as just the paper manipulation, man. I mean, that's the best way to put it. And so it's hard to continue to really focus on the price when we know the season we're in and all the events taking place. Everybody who's tuned in, you guys understand the importance of having physical possession of your metals or whatnot. And so the biggest thing is it's a patient waiting game, man. Just waiting till things blow through and blow well into later this decade is where I would rather focus rather than the short term, just because in the midst of a dying system, they can pull anything out their bag of tricks to make the system look as if like things are stable or there's no safe haven. That's ultimately the goal. No legitimate backdoors out of the system. And it's just it just concerns me even more that we see a little bit of a crypto rally. And of course, gold is getting somewhat of a bid. But mind you, Keenan, as well, precious metals outside of the USD already have surpassed all-time highs and things like that. So, yeah, continue to do what you got to do, my friend. I'm sure you are. Central bank digital currencies. That's another topic. CBDCs and climate scam. Own nothing, be happy, and eat bugs. Yeah, like doesn't surprise me one bit. That's what is on their radar. Dan Z says, John Perez says a real war starting in February. What do you think? Not familiar with that, but from the way things are playing out, I'm hearing a lot of talk about, events in February. I'd expect event any month, any day. So it is possible. But once again, whenever we get suspected times, dates, and seasons, things tend to not turn out to be the way that they were forecasted. So I wouldn't hold my breath waiting on any particular event. And so anything is possible, of course, but I wouldn't stop doing what I was doing or make any real adjustments waiting on February, because every quarter or so, there's a certain time frame or a month where people are really concerned about things. So, but we will see, of course. And of course, war is always on the table, unfortunately. Sean says, Mike, RTD, I hope you really keep going with the channel. I've been watching for years. Your work is appreciated. Hola from Hawaii. Yeah, I definitely enjoy connecting, man. But it's just most of the part is just the climate, the news is just, for the most part, until something really jumps off worth really talking about, it's relatively the same thing. And that's kind of where I don't want to just bore you guys by, coming on with just doom and gloom all the time, just because at the end of the day, it's up to everybody else to create their own good news. And so, that's kind of what I want to focus on for myself as well. Just, as I mentioned before, for those who come in and just had a chance to get away and hang out a little bit in some good weather and dive further into the word and just, encourage myself in my spiritual life. So that's the most important thing on my radar at this point. Gen Z says, why did the silver get smacked down today? Dennis, your guess will be good as mine. I anticipate there to be a smackdown anytime it shows any signs of promise to trend upwards. So it doesn't surprise me one bit whenever the metals prices slam down. So wouldn't be too surprised with that. And so tomorrow we can have another early morning rally and then end of the day slam. That's typically how it goes. What else we got? Have you thought about branching out to other subjects? Other subjects, you are very smart finance. Yeah, definitely. And that's where, like, more so at this point, from the spiritual side of things, really trying to plug in and find out, what would the Lord have me to communicate. And so there's a lot of things on my heart that has more so to do with the spiritual side of things anyway. So it's more so how to blend that and really, I guess, shine light on subject matters that are of importance to other people as well. So trying to find that happy medium, that balance. So on my side here, still trying to tinker with some things and learn some things. So it's a slow process, but then again, I'm enjoying it. It's a part of my spiritual walk and walking by faith and not by sight and everything in between. All right, so let me stop ranting. What we got? About 9 minutes in. Let me just go through some headlines. And so I'd encourage people, if you're interested in staying up to date on the latest articles or whatnot, I tend to post them on the Telegram. And so I encourage you, if you are on Telegram, to make sure you connect so you'll stay plugged in throughout the day if you're interested. And that's a good way to make sure you never miss anything, but also connect with your favorite content creators out there. And usually a variety of people do a good job of keeping you up to date on the latest. What's happening? Matrix snake is, I need the doom and gloom. The Matrix snake is alluring. I hear you, man. And so let's just dive into some headlines. I'm just going to go through the headlines just because there's some things that caught my attention. But these are some articles over the last 3 or 4 days or so that I didn't see many content creators really diving deep into them. But the sources come from RT, which happens to be Russian influence. So definitely they want to make a point with that and just basically let them know that they're not going to be bullied by the West anymore. But just take a overall viewpoint of the theme of these next couple articles here, and I'll just real quick thumb through them. It says Russia wants to trade with African countries in local currencies. This is what Lavrov, basically Putin's right hand man, said. And so this came out over the weekend, I believe, or like Friday. But it says sides are reportedly developing cooperation strategies to replace the U.S. dollar and the euro in settlements. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit that is probably a lot further along than what we're being told. But it has to do with local currencies, and ultimately the agenda is to replace the U.S. dollar and euros in settlement. So the clock is ticking. Next headline here. South Africa says BRICS mulling new payment system to ditch the dollar. So this is Sputnik, another Eastern mainstream source. Make of it what you may. But South Africa, I did hear one of their spokesmen talk about wanting to, of course, incorporate and add more countries. So while we're in the West talking about our issues here domestically, those nations there in the bigger scheme of things, they're making big moves. So keep your eyes on the BRICS, just because I think what they're doing, of course, we're going to look back in the history books and, it's going to be a different story. But the BRICS Club of emerging countries, economies want to find a way of bypassing the dollar to create a fair payment system that would not be skewed together toward wealthier countries. Oh, and this is from South African foreign minister. So, well, yeah, but check the theme. Saudi Arabia says to open to settling trade in other currencies. This was during the Davos meeting. And so it says Saudi Arabia is open to discussions about trade and currencies other than the dollar. So a lot of people out here are rethinking the dollar. And so it's like when in the midst of all this, as it's becoming mainstream news here, it kind of makes the rethinking the dollar concept spot on. And so here's another one here. China stocks up on Russian gold, coming from the RT, but it just talks about here over the last couple of months here, the amount of tonnage leaving Russia and heading into China. So let's just know that China and Russia working hand in hand, and they're selling fiat for something tangible. So yeah, very interesting. Another one here. BRICS exploring ideas to create fair payment system. I just talked about that from Africa, so I'll spare you guys that one. Here's another little story that was just mentioned earlier. This is from one of our YouTube content creators here. Just this little speech here from one of the Silk and Diamond individuals. Yeah, very sad. What else we got here? The war in Ukraine will end with a bang. So this is somebody's opinion on the current events that's underway right now. And so it doesn't really go too well with the fact that other article here, Putin ally warns NATO of nuclear war if Russia is defeated in Ukraine. So as far as that event that's happening in February, some people just mention or anything is possible. So, but just from those articles I mentioned about the BRICS and Putin and things of that nature, the overall arching theme is the currency and the payment system. Things are changing right now behind our backs, and the West has us distracted about all types of things. It's just you name it. So it's never ending noise. But anyway, let me hear what's on your radar. And so feel free. Let's open up the phone lines. Give me a call. Let's talk. We'll definitely love to find out what other subjects is worth touching on, as well as bringing to the forefront and informing the community. And so if you got any subjects out there, anything that's of concern to you or anything that excites you, feel free to let us know. We can always use some good news on this side as well. And we will see what's going on. And so X says it's a stage war, Mike. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that the East and West is working hand in hand to pull off what is going to be considered a reset event. But in the middle of all that will be the loss of countless lives in this entire charades or of this East versus West, currency shift ultimately. And so it's I don't doubt it one bit that it is uh, a part of a bigger plan that they're all working to accomplish. They want us to they want it to appear as if there's good guys and bad guys all intertwined in this. Let me see here. Is this we got the Freemasonry link. BlackRock got contracts to rebuild Ukraine. Yeah, I saw that as well. Gold is honorable. Or is it 5G towers all over the place? Yeah, X 5G towers. Them boys, majority of them, to my knowledge, from what I see around this area here, majority of those 5G towers were put up in the midst of that 15-day spread of slowing the spread back in 2020. That 2-week, 3-week period, everybody was told to stay at home unless if you were non-essential, is when a lot of those towers went up. And so it's just people don't really talk much about that these days. All right, so let's get to some calls, man. Let me make sure my volume is up here. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Hello, Mike. This is Jonathan from Trinidad and Tobago, down in the Caribbean.
Jonathan, I'm doing good, my friend. What's up with you? How are you doing?
All is well. All is well. So I called to tell you what's on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
I think Turkey and Saudi Arabia, those two countries,
mm-hmm.
because this week with Turkey already starting to say that they're not going to allow Finland and Sweden into NATO
mm-hmm.
After there was a burning of the Quran in Sweden in front of the Turkish embassy, and also there are people in Turkey protesting against Sweden.
Okay.
And so that relationship there is already starting to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
And the EU and the US has already started to say that they're questioning Turkey's allegiance to the NATO alliance, because Turkey is arranging this whole gas hub with Russia to increase flows across the Turk Stream pipeline in the Black Sea. They're already in kind of partial ruble exchange for wheat. They negotiated the safe passage of wheat from Russia and through the Black Sea and Ukraine. So Turkey is doing all these things, so it's benefiting Russia in a big way. And I think the West is going to do something about Erdogan, because he's not a reliable partner in their eyes.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, for the same reason you just covered there, they are stepping out the bounds of what they normally should be operating. They're talking about trading oil and other currencies at the US dollar. They're even increasing cooperation with Gulf cooperation countries, the GCC countries, Qatar, UAE, and so forth. Normally that doesn't happen. They're easing relations, easing tensions with Syria, which is a big turnaround.
Yeah.
So those two countries, they are in the sight for either some sort of regime change operation or whatever, because they can't continue doing this and unscathed.
Now, didn't they try? Now, or wasn't there an event on Erdogan's life a couple years ago that I guess was supposedly from the West, and it failed, and that probably opened up the initial talks with the East, which had got everything rolling. And so, is it possible, in your opinion, based upon what you study, that Russia, Putin may step in somehow, some way to prevent that regime change, as the West would call it, and that can really escalate things, or no? What are you thinking?
No, well, the rumor was the reason why Erdogan was able to get on a helicopter before the whole regime change operation went on is that the FSB had information and they transferred it over to the Turkey's intelligence agency about what was taking place. So technically, it's Russian intelligence that sees his life more or less back then.
Right.
But it's not. But Erdogan is not a person that he's somehow loyal to Russia or anything. He's seeking his own interests. He's seeking, and I am not a fan of him, but I must say he is seeking somewhat. In some cases, he is seeking the best interests of the people who are living in Turkey.
Yeah.
In terms of all these deals to provide commodities and so forth for the people, is to the people's benefit.
Yeah.
You know, that they have access to food and energy. So
Right.
I think in that terms, but I don't see Russia stepping in any way, because they need Turkey to stand on its own ground.
Right.
I think Turkey would prefer that as well.
Right. Good point. Well, hey, Turkey. All right, man. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. So I'm sure things will definitely unfold in a timely manner, given that we're only 23 days into the beginning of the year. So definitely before spring, I'd imagine we're going to hear a lot more about Turkey and things of that nature. So appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you. You take care. All the best.
Be good. Thanks. Yeah. So as always, there's a lots of things unfolding in real time, but so keep an eye on events happening in the Middle East. That's always the hot spot for the Western influence. And so as another thing that and I've mentioned it kind of earlier about African nations, Russia wanting to do local currency swaps with African nations, and it's no surprise that we have Yellen doing a tour of Africa. I'm not sure what all nations, but she's over there trying to, I guess, shake some hands and basically give people a heads up that if you sign any other deals outside of what we allow, you might be in trouble. Let me see here. So Ellen urges them to debt restructure. So she's over here talking about debt and things of that nature. Let me just put this on the screen here. So just some headlines from today and last couple of days. Yellen in Zambia to discuss debt to China. Yellen in Africa to make Biden administration's case for tighter ties with U.S. than China. Yellen urges Zambia debt restructure with China. So, yeah, that's what the mainstream media wants us to believe. But we know that Africa has already shifted to the east. It's called... the Belt and Road Initiative, as well as the BRICS. All right, what else we got here? So lots of other subjects. Feel free to call in. What's on your radar? What are you keeping an eye on? What are some things that you're diving deep into? Let me know. Definitely would love to bring more topics to the forefront. The R5. And so, Kevin, R5, I did see something about that. That is the name, if I'm not mistaken, of the payment system or something other another that was just mentioned. Let me see here. I saw it in an article I read, but it's let me see here. Let me see if anything pops up. Payment system. Let me see here. Kevin, feel free to highlight more on the R5 because I did post something about that in the chat, but I don't seem to have it right now. Dirty Scan says Africa loves BTC. Looking 5 R's, R5. Let me see here. Let me see. What can I don't have anything popping up on my end here. All right, but we'll jump on that. Kevin, give me a little bit more than that. Yellow bricks road. Clarity looks good without me looking into the P&L. Open. Any opinion on gold back called blockchain? Doesn't surprise me. I think that's one of many stories that is hitting the surface all of a sudden. And it has to do with other nations looking for alternative payment systems. And so I did post that article in the chat. Let me see here. But we're going to hear a lot more of that. And I think sometime before the end of the year, there will be an official announcement of some kind that the world will have to recognize. How it plays out, I don't know, but I just believe that as more and more issues arise in the West, whether it be the whole recessionary talk and whatever people want to focus on with the Federal Reserve, yada, yada, yada. We all know what's the real state of the economy as that happens, because it's also happening in other countries as well. They're also scrambling, trying to have something ready for when the banking system actually goes under, because it's just a matter of time. But yeah, blockchain is a part of the World Economic Forum's technological takeover. So every country is working on some form of a rebranded digital ledger. Settle in gold. Any thoughts? Somebody mentioned Armenia. John Perez says in February, gold and Saudi will settle in gold. Any thoughts? Settle in gold. As far as February, I am not familiar with any scheduled events, and so unless that's something that's going to be cut on by Saudi Arabia and their partnerships with other nations, I'm not sure why February in particular. John mentioned that. But somebody did share that video interview he did or something like that. So, but John does a good job of trying to stay ahead of the trend. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that's coming. Norway's going digital. Yeah, Norway, they were already, for the most part, cashless. So it doesn't surprise me one bit. But I did hear something about a pushback from the citizens because they do want the option of having something physical in the form of cash. And so I don't think it's 100% as of now. Oh, gold for oil. I wouldn't be surprised. So far, so good. As far as gold for oil, isn't Ghana also doing the same thing? So more nations will definitely jump on that exchange there, just because they're basically just removing the counterparties of fiat currency and going directly back to the original source, exchanging gold for oil. Now the prices and things of that nature, I'm sure every country will have their own measurement or metrics rather, but it's good to say more nations will jump on board. Here's the article, just shining more like gold. Ghana plans to buy oil with gold instead of dollars. I did post something in the Telegram, giving an update on that, because I think their first major trade has already gone through. And as of now, nothing's happened in Ghana as far as the West deciding to come in and try to destabilize things or disrupt things. So, but we will see. Chicago Mayor says if you don't want to get robbed, go digital. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that's another failing city as well as a state. The liberal left, boy, destroying cities and states one by one. Finding more Biden documents. Yeah, those documents, the whole narrative there, it's a deliberate diversion from some other event that they don't want people to focus on. So they're trying to make it as if it's like this is important. Like that whole party, both left and right, are involved in all types of scandalous things. And what's very interesting, that people are talking about that Biden is going to get impeached. And even one of the news for commentators talked about him having documents as treason and things like that. It's like, come on now. Nobody's going to enforce that. There's no real rule of law in a criminal cartel called the U.S. government. Come on now. Don't expect nothing to happen to them people. And so here's what might happen. We've had how many European leaders step down? Mario Draghi from Italy stepped down. Who else? We had the Boris Johnson and the whole charades in the UK. So there's another one or two leaders, so-called leaders of prime ministers of countries that stepped down all of a sudden. And we have New Zealand, their tyrannical prime minister lady, she's stepping down, resigning as well. And so I wouldn't be too surprised if there was an event where Biden was moved out of the way. But then again, just like with those other world leaders or whoever they are that were forced to step down, ultimately more puppets are put in their position. So it gives the illusion that real change is taking place. But you are not able to hold one of those positions unless you're already pre-selected by the globalist cabal individual. So it's an illusion of change, but it's ultimately from the same school of thought. So if there was some change here in the U.S. and something with this document stuff was to turn into something that booted the Biden from administration, whoever steps in, Harris or whoever, they're all bought and paid for it too. So I wouldn't really hold my breath too much on expecting real change. All right, let's get another call here. Let me get this together. Give me 1 second. I messed it up already. Give me 1 second. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Going once, going twice. Anybody there?
You hear me?
Yep, go ahead. What's your name? Where you calling from, buddy?
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. What's your name?
It's Pay Me Money Bags, Clean Tech.
Pay Me Money Bags. What's going on, my friend?
I'm all right. I wanted to talk to you about some. It's a theory real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them 10-4 half moments, I want to figure out what would you think it would be like if a certain scenario happened.
All right, give it to me. Still there?
What do you think would happen if our United States military turned against our government?
What do I think would happen if our military turned against the United States government? It would be outright pandemonium in the streets. It'll be similar to events that take place in second, third world countries where the government is hijacked by the military. So I don't know how it will play out, but I'd imagine it's going to be even a greater divide of our country because a lot of people will be very upset. The people who believe in the system and will drink the Kool-Aid. So they're going to be against the right, which is going to be considered terrorists. So it's like it'll be more division, more chaos, more. Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm just saying, our whole entire military, if they turn on the government, but what chaos would it be? It would be hands down a loss. Just like, what I mean by like, if they joined our side, this is say they woke up one day and they'd be like, hold on, like, we've been shammed. We've been bamboozled. Like, they in control of everything. The only reason our government have power, the only reason our government have power to do half the crap they do because they have reinforcement. That is a fact. You take away, it's kind of like, look at your kids. Take away the belts and the switches, they bulk up to you. When the government took away our rights to whoop our kids years ago, well, some states, I ain't gonna say government, but some states, they were like, you can't whoop your kids. All of a sudden, you saw a wave of kids bucking up. So if you take away the threat, you know what I'm saying? It's a wrap. So if you got these leaders, these generals that led all these wars and stuff, and they go home and they sit and they get to pondering, and then they call up their battle buddy. And after they call up their battle buddy, they call up some more battle buddies, and they all go to a secret location and they meet. And they say, this shit ain't right. So what we gonna do? Well, I got the key to the armory. We got this. We can call the boys a couple fighter jets. I'm just saying it could really happen if you think about it.
Right. It would definitely be a awakening for the world just because the rest of the world is literally waiting on the U.S. to do something about, because we're the last hope for humanity in a sense, because we're witnessing all that medical tyranny as well as the political chaos, and the Federal Reserve note still spins for now. So we got to get as much usage out of that thing while we can. So I think the fact that we still have more guns than law enforcement would be in our favor, but I don't think our countrymen are ready to go to lay it down like that, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? I think more people be more concerned with looting and stealing for selfish and greed's sake than actually trying to further free us from the tyranny of our own oppressors. So it'll just be chaos because most people don't have most people wouldn't have good intentions, I think, at the end of the day, if there was chaos like that.
Well, I agree with you on that, but you gotta look, everybody that you see that's in our military also have families. I'm just saying, okay, listen, you take our military and put it in a certain spot. Anything that the military do with our government also affects their families.
Right.
So I'm just saying, if it came, I'm just saying, if you can think left, you can think right. And if you can think left and right, you can also think straight.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely a what if scenario that would have some promise at the end, because it'll definitely get things rolling to where we can actually start over or start afresh if we were able to get some men and women to actually stand up and, lead in a sense. But once again, it's like it's wishful thinking as of now because most people don't know what's really going on, nevertheless, to fight back against what's happening to them. So, but I get you though.
True that. One more thing, I'll let you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
What you think about the Republicans talking about that they want to take away the federal income tax and all that other stuff and just put out a 30% sales tax?
Basically, so that tax, it's not gonna fly, and so it'll pass the House, but it won't pass the Senate, and it's not gonna be signed by the president and thief. So it's just all talk and show for now. So I wouldn't hold my breath, think it's gonna happen because whole part of this monetary charades is to make sure that people exchange their time and energy for the currency so that they can tax it back through all types of taxes. So it ain't going nowhere. They're not gonna let us off the hook that easy.
Alrighty, brother. I
Appreciate you, man. Yeah, good thoughts there, though.
Alright.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Just some hypothetical situations, some what ifs. Like, it's always good to throw out some what ifs. But, yeah. All right, it says mercenaries are Jews. They would be, and man, like, so Denzi, that's the thing, man. Like, of course, for those who are tuned in, in a Telegram, we talk, or a lot of articles is posted about the sudden movement, the hashtag suddenly. And I saw an article. I think it's either somebody posted or I posted it, but it was Dr. Peter McCullough basically saying that it was a very high number. I think the number was 50 million Americans at a minimum or something like that. Have already either reported or will be possible sufferers of myocarditis. And also myocarditis is trending on Twitter as well. And you see some of the stories. And so anyway, just point is, he was saying that it's a 60% or some type of high percentage chance that people who are suffering from any type of heart issues, the longevity of their life is automatically guaranteed to be reduced to where they may not live longer than, I think it's, as you said, 2 years or something like that. So there's going to be a continual die-off globally, which also will play into deflationary pressures in a variety of ways. So yeah, it's just nothing good comes from that global experimentation that they've pulled over on the world. This show is misinformation. Myocarditis is worth it. Worth what? I'd imagine for the people who are experiencing health issues as a result of participating, they would not be saying that at all. But again, I know you're just playing. All right, let's get this call, man. Let's get this call. I want to hear some voices. What else we got going on? Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, it's Ricardo from Texas.
What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Not too bad. They got this, the FAA was talking about raising up
the FAA?
The heart rate.
Say again, the FAA was what? Say it one more time.
They raised up the heart rate to cover up the heart attacks of these pilots.
Uh-huh.
And on top of that, these airlines are trying to have just one pilot in the plane instead of having two.
Oh, no.
I just wanted to see if you heard of anything like that. A buddy of mine was telling me about that. I was like, man, is that true? I was like, man, they're going all in.
So I did pull up an article here. It says the FAA adjusts heart function values for pilots. So it looks like it is a real story, but I didn't dive into it, but it doesn't surprise me one bit. I guess anything that can save them some money as well as help cover up the medical issues that's happening with the pilots these days. So it seems like it's real. So I'll say that.
Wow. I heard that. Well, I will leave you alone, man. Have a good night and keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for calling and sharing that.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. I'll be very concerned if they went from 2 to 1, even though I know the planes, they can do autopilot and, actually they're, they can be flown from, on the ground, I'm sure, but it's just one of them things where like, it's just, yeah, I would be very sketchy of a plane with just one pilot. But then again, how often do you actually see who's in the cockpit anyway? Apart from hearing some voices and when they get on air and tell you who's flying. Anyway, Karen Kingston was basically saying the same thing. Folks have their lives decreased by some years. Yeah. So like, just think about that. Like, it's in the next throughout this year, we're gonna hear more stories of suddenlies, and as well as, God forbid, family and friends, and also I want to talk about that DeMar that game last night. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that, because I thought that was, I don't believe that's him one bit. But anyway, let me get this call. Get me on here. Hello, caller. What's name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name's Steve.
Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, doing pretty good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. What's new with you, my friend?
Hey, I just sent you that show from the Alex Jones show from yesterday.
Okay.
If you can post that to the crew there.
Okay.
Basically, they talked about Elon Musk talking about how the jab almost killed him and his family.
Now, I did see Elon Musk respond to somebody, but I'm like, I don't know if I don't believe that. Like, I don't really think. I would assume that he's in on that. He knows what's really going on, because he's a part of that club of people who are privileged to get information ahead of time, I assume. And so I just be very surprised if he's not just doing that because it helps his case. It shows that he's a part of the people, like he's for the people, like, like, oh, woe is me. I felt like my heart was also, my chest was hurting after my second shot, like type of thing. I wouldn't believe that guy one bit, man. That's just my thing.
Hey, well, trust me on this. I agree with you. I don't trust him at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of surprised that he could even say that.
Right.
Part I was surprised. But do I trust him? No.
Right.
And basically, like I said, everything's spiritual anyway.
Right.
In this whole matter, and some people, I think it was last week or whenever the last time you were on,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was giving you a hard time about the accuracy of the Bible, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't believe the book, and all the rest of this.
Mm-hmm.
There's just four verses that I wanted to get out
Mm-hmm.
to that person, because obviously the person's doing that on purpose. They know what they're doing.
Right.
But anyway,
And that's where, like, for the most part, it's open forum, an open discussion. Feel free to have, thoughts as to what you believe and whatnot.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it doesn't really, carry much weight, because this is just an open forum to be able to communicate and share your thoughts. So, but I get you though.
Exactly. And everybody, like I said, everybody has a right to say what they want. But I was just kind of surprised and taken back. It's like, geez,
Mm-hmm.
this is not the first time that the person. If the person doesn't believe that the Bible is real, just come out and say it with your chest out.
Mm-hmm.
You just come out and say that. Don't dance around it. Except number one is I think it's real.
Right.
100%. But then you got these four things here.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, and I'll get off the line and let you go.
Mm-hmm.
John 14:6. Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Mm-hmm.
No man cometh up unto the Father but by me.
Right.
That's number one. Matthew 33. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny him before my Father which is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 10:28.
Mm-hmm.
Fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul.
Okay.
But let's see. But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, Proverbs 9:10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Now, am I going to believe somebody who says you can't trust the Bible when the accuracy of it's been 100% thus far in
Right.
history?
Right.
Thus far, 100% accurate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to stand before the Lord, and he's standing there looking at me, and he asked me, "Oh, why were you telling people my word was no good?"
Right.
I would not want to be in. I would not want to be in that spot. But
yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, man.
Anyway,
everybody got free will. That's the benefit of faith. It's simple, but then again, it's mighty complicated because everybody can choose. So appreciate you, my man.
Exactly. All right, take care now.
You got. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, man. What we got here? What we have about 45 minutes or so. Let's get some more calls. Phone line seems to be doing fairly good tonight. People got some things they want to get off their chest. That's always good. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Mike? It's Joe from PA.
Joe from PA. What's going on, my friend? Give me some good news.
I just have a question. Have you read the whole Bible?
In its entirety, in one segment, no, but throughout my lifetime, I've touched on every chapter to where I can say, yes, I've read it, but I haven't read it like from beginning to end in one single time frame. No.
Okay. Well, I was just going to ask, if you ever read the end. I just wanted to know, like, how did you feel basically, like, when you read the last page and it was done? How did it make you feel? And I'll let somebody else grab the mic.
Yeah, great call. Great question, my friend. Thanks for calling. I'll share my thoughts on that, my experience with that.
All right,
appreciate you. That's a great question there. So, as I mentioned before, for myself, in reference to reading the Bible, I first accepted Christ when I was 16. So that was umpteen years ago. And so from that moment, I really started reading for myself. And from that point till now, I've always been continuously growing. And no matter what part of the Bible I read, I always get something fresh as I mature in my spiritual walk. So when I read Revelations, which is the last chapter of the book, 5 years ago, 10 years, I actually read it last year. I read it from beginning to end just because I was drawn to it. And I had a lot of questions. But then again, I just read it a couple months ago, got those questions answered, and it excited me like never before. Like, so to answer that question, my last time reading Revelations all the way to the end this past summer, when I went on the eschatology excursion, it left me beyond excited because it allowed me to get a greater glimpse of eternity in reference to the millennial kingdom and the new heaven, new earth, or new earth rather, and things of that nature. So it really excited me. So at this point in my life, God has really shown me some different things that got me excited for, me bearing fruit for the kingdom. That's just my journey. But when I was younger and I read Revelations, I was scared out of my mind. I just couldn't. I mean, just so much death and destruction, and just I couldn't see God being that good God through all that. But then again, as I got older, I just realized that all those things have to take place, and of course, that's just how things must play out. And there is goodness in all that. That's just His mercy and love, that He's faithful enough to give us time to accept His Son. So that's just my little experience there, man. But it left me excited, and more excited now as we draw into the latter days. So that's just me, my friend. But thanks you for that question. All right. What else we got? Impressive to read the whole Bible. Yeah, 100%, man. Can't go wrong with it. And so what I've been doing lately, so as I mentioned, for those who came in late, took a couple of days, unplugged, took a little getaway, went and sat by the ocean, and I had my book with me here. This is called God's Promises for Your Every Need. So, that's what I've been keeping my eye on, just diving into this word, encouraging myself, building myself up, because God is doing some things in me right now. I'm sure amongst you guys as well. So just making sure I'm open and receptive to that, to His word. So that's kind of what excites me outside of all the natural things. We know things must take place, but ultimately it's all about the word and application of it in your life and things of that nature. So that's what has me the most excited. But anyway, what we got? 49 minutes, and looks like getting ready to wind down. But as always, Larissa Jackson, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you. Rethinking It All is a great show. Psalms 1:6. Appreciate you, man. But no, anyway, back at it tomorrow. Same time, same place. Appreciate you for blessing me with your presence. Hope you guys enjoy the interaction and back and forth. And definitely, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. And be back tomorrow night, same time, same place. Let's do it again, people. All right, be blessed, and I will see you later. Peace. Is there even audio?